This next topic we've been talking about quite a bit on the show, Sanjay, and that is the Flint water crisis. I know you spent a lot of time there, and just this last week you were talking to locals. We've had the mayor on our show. Last week we talked extensively about really how upset we are that it got to this point. When you were boots on the ground there, what's the atmosphere like amongst community members and the fear level?
They're very upset, Travis. I mean, I'd never seen anything quite like that. I've traveled a lot of places around the world. I've covered lead stories in other places around the world. There are homes. There was a home that we visited where the lead in the water was 13,000, a level of 13,000 parts per billion. 5 parts per billion is cause for concern. 5. This was 13,000. 5,000 parts per billion is associated with toxic waste. Hers was 13,000. Wow. And what is so, I think, in some ways, frustrating, disheartening, whatever you want to say about it, is that they knew about this for some time, and people allowed it to continue to happen. You would not let your kids drink that water. Nobody would. And yet they were told, oh, it's just hard water. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Poor people and people who are disenfranchised, which is a lot of Flint. I'm from Michigan. I know this area well. They get ignored. And they got ignored here, and it was really, it's frustrating. It's just as a human being, it's so disheartening to see that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I know you're a native son. You're from Michigan, so that hits particularly strong in your case, being from there and having trained there. Yeah,
no question. And you talk to these families, and you know what's, again, I mentioned I'm a dad of three girls, and you talk to these parents, and they tried to do everything right. They complained about the water. They talked to their city officials. They took it to the level of the state. And almost every single time they're told, don't worry about it, it's fine. And then they hear that the lead is in the water. It could harm their children now. It could harm them years from now. And these parents are so emotional, they still blame themselves, right? Because as a parent, even if you did all the things you're supposed to do, if your child has been harmed in some way, you blame yourself. And that was hard to see and hard to hear from these parents. I mean, you just, you want to give them a hug and try and tell them it's going to be okay, but it's hard with something like lead.
Yeah, you're a neurosurgeon by trade, and isn't it interesting, again, both of these stories we've covered this today involve young children and how an insult can affect them so much more than us adults who have developed brains. What scares me, Sanjay, is we want to say that this will never happen again, but apparently this isn't just a Flint problem. A rural area outside Youngstown, Ohio just learned they have high levels of lead. Over the summer they discovered this. The community was not informed within the required 60-day period. This is something we need to pay attention to. If nothing else, is this not an opportunity to start the national dialogue? This can never happen again.
Absolutely. Look, you're a doc, you work in ERs. We thought of lead as a yesterday issue, right? We thought, look, we could put that in the list of accomplishments. Lead paint in houses, for the most part, gone. Leaded gasoline. My kids will see unleaded gasoline and say, why do they call it unleaded gasoline? And I say, because we used to have leaded gasoline, but it would spew so much lead into the environment, we realized it was bad for you. We got rid of the lead paint for the same reason. And yet this problem with the water is still out there. We have an infrastructure that still has lead pipes. It still allows lead to leach
those
in the
older
water.
East Coast cities, it's all about the pipes and
corrosion.
Old pipes corrosion that's been ongoing. I mean, we're going to have to be vigilant.
And a quick shout out to so many celebrities have stepped up here and given a great deal of money. And,
yeah, we reported on Cher 180,000 bottles and Pearl Jam 125,000. And a lot of the locals from Michigan, some of the rappers, Eminem, Meek Mills, Big Sean, all came up with big donations. Got into a little bit of a turf war, dissing people that didn't give so much.
I don't even want to go there.
Whatever they gave, God bless them, and any amount was the right thing to do.
That's very true. Never give a donation and then belittle someone else for giving less than you. That's not what that's all about. I do want to say, to finish this topic, that Mark Edward was the first to uncover this lead crisis in Flint, has been hired by the city to oversee the testing of the water. Our fingers are certainly crossed that this situation will get resolved very quickly.